Welcome, Stache. It's another episode of Stache Sports. Yesterday, you can hear more of my talk about Nick Herbig's contract extension. But right now, with the T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig getting paid over $300 million, does that mean somebody's out? I don't think that means somebody is out this year. Maybe after the end of this year, they might circle back around at the end of the season. But with our first game coming against the Atlanta Falcons in September, I think all three players should be on the Steelers roster this year. And that's just how it's going to go. I don't think they're going to skimp out, and I don't think they're going to have that happen with them, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do now with Nick Herbig and a new head coach, Mike McCarthy, a new defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, about to be calling the plays. Last year and previous years, we all knew Mike Tomlin was calling the plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mike McCarthy's new call, since Mike McCarthy calling the offense and Patrick Graham calling the defense. It'll probably be switched up this year. And it'll probably do different looks and different play sets. So it's going to be interesting to see how much more playing time Nick Herbig can get. And last year, near the end of the season, when Alex Highsmith was hurt or healthy again, Nick Herbig didn't get that much playing time. So it's going to be interesting to see what Nick Herbig can do for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and to see if Nick Herbig can do good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, if Nick Herbig can do good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think Nick Herbig, like they said on the sports call last night, with Andrew Pony, I think Nick Herbig could be one of his next and upcoming stars for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and I think they got him on a cheap and got him on a good contract. I mean, other people are getting paid a lot more money than Nick Herbig, but I think they got him on a bargain, which is good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that's going to bode well for the Pittsburgh Steelers and our fans. I know some fans are complaining about they getting him a lot of money when he really hasn't played a full season as a starter and has been injury prone, but I mean, we draft him in the fourth round, and we produce him, and we draft him in the fourth round, and it showed up pretty well for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the fourth round from the Wisconsin Badgers, and we were able to look good at producing him and making him look good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's nice to see him look good for the Steelers and do good since he's a fourth-round draft pick. I mean, I can't wait to see what they do with the Pittsburgh Steelers and to see how the Pittsburgh Steelers do with him as our new player. But I mean, we'll see what happens at the Steelers and see what they do with Nick Herbig. But I think, like I said yesterday in our emergency press conference video, but if you don't remember and you haven't watched, you can go back and watch yesterday's emergency press conference video and see. But I think they did pretty good with that, and I think that's a good contract. But next, we've got to get Joey Porter Jr. a new contract extension. Joey Porter Jr., the son of Joey Porter Sr., needs to be a new contract extension next for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they need to see what happens to Joey Porter Jr. and the Steelers. But that's another thing to be said. But we'll see what happens. But like I said, I don't think that T.J. Watt or Alex Highsmith will be out. And if anybody is out, I think it's Alex Highsmith. I don't see them trading T.J. Watt, but I don't see them trading T.J. Watt in the near future, and I think T.J. Watt is going to finish his career as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I think T.J. Watt will be here for the rest of his career. So maybe Alex Highsmith is the next man out. But like I said, they're paying over $300 million to these three players, so we'll see. Yesterday, Drake London got a new contract extension, making $100 million guaranteed and $141 million salary, going up to $150 million ever since this. Drake London is a good receiver, okay receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, but the Atlanta Falcons have really had no good quarterback play, so if they can have a good quarterback play, that might be good for them. But Nick Herbert's contract, I think, is better because he's not making that much. He's only making $100 million and $42 million guaranteed, not $141 million. But now he's under people like Drake London, now under people like, and the contract is for receivers. Jamar Chase, that's one of the good receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals, even though the Bengals are the Steelers' competitor, and Jack Smith and Jigba, who's one of the great receivers for the Seahawks, But I think it's well paid. I mean, it's just going to be time to tell. I mean, he did have 1,000-yard receiving last year, Drake London, but they really haven't had good quarterback play. If they have good, consistent quarterback play and they can stay healthy, it might be a good contract because Drake London is one of their top players at receiver. What's going on? It's one of the top players at receivers, so I think that'd be good. Also, there's an arrest warrant for Brandon Ayuk, who was a dummy, and posted a video of him speeding in a car late December in San Francisco, across the street from his football stadium in San Francisco. I mean, that's kind of dumb when you're making all that money and you want high-paid receivers to get paid all that money to speed. A couple years ago, when Brandon Ayuk was on a contract extension, there's rumors, trades that the Steelers might try to trade for Brandon Ayuk. I'm kind of glad they didn't trade for him because we don't need people speeding, getting caught by the cops, and causing all that drama on our Steelers. And we can get other receivers that are much better than him. I mean, he really hasn't panned out that much since his free agent contract. He hurt himself last year. I know injuries suck, but we'll see what happens with that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I don't think he's going to miss any time for his speeding case because it's not a lot of people did drugs in the middle of it, but performance-enhancing drugs because that's what they do. Drugs are if he has domestic violence like the Packers running back does. But we'll keep our eye on. But I don't think they're going to miss any games. But it'd be interesting to see what happens to Brandon Ayuk and that. Also, Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears rookie quarterback, will be this year's Madden cover. So it's nice to see that Caleb Williams will be the Madden cover this year. But I really do think that Nick Herbig's contract extension is good. I mean, he had 5.5 sacks last year and looked really good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he could keep up with all those sacks and looking pretty good for the Steelers, I think he'll be good. But like I said earlier in the video, it's going to be interesting to see what new head coach Mike McCarthy, new defensive coordinator Patrick Graham could do. Patrick Graham used to be on the Las Vegas Raiders, coaching staff and made it through a couple head coaching changes. I mean, it's good to see him doing that and making it good through a couple head coaching changes and not get fired. But we'll see if he can keep making that good and making it good through a couple head coaching changes and not get fired. I mean, but right now, Patrick Graham has probably the best defense on paper as he had in all of his stops as a coach or as a defensive coordinator. I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders were okay last year, but let's face it, I know they got a lot better this year in defense and signed a lot more players. And they were still able to keep Max Crosby some funny way because he got traded to Ratbirds, but somehow backed out of that. But that's a little fishy there. But he only really had Max Crosby last year. And yes, I know Las Vegas Raiders had a couple good players on their defense, but only having Max Crosby on that team, he did pretty good. I mean, I know they weren't the best defense, and that's why they had the first pick. But football is an overall sport, and I think the Steelers might have a good year this year, make the playoffs, and maybe make a good playoff run. Like one of my Stache said yesterday, but we'll see. But we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, I think the Steelers will do good. I think Patrick Graham will do good. I mean, he's a highly anticipated defensive coordinator. And like I said, he has had one of his highest paid coaching staff, has one of his best defenses on paper right now in Pittsburgh than he's ever had in his ever coaching staffs or ever stops. I mean, I know you had Max Crosby, had a couple good players, and they weren't bad last year. The Oakland Raiders defense, like I said, it's a team sport. And never players were bad for the Las Vegas Raiders. I keep calling them Oakland Raiders because I've heard in Oakland before. But the Las Vegas Raiders, a lot of people were bad for that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Patrick Graham. But I'm excited to see what he does because this will be the first time in a few years that our defensive coordinator will be truly calling a defensive plays. Yes, I know we had our defensive coordinator last year in Terrell Austin, but Terrell Austin wasn't really calling plays. I know we had some hand in it, but let's face it, Mike Tomlin was the one calling plays last year because Mike Tomlin was a defensive coach and a defensive-minded coach. So Mike Tomlin was the one calling plays last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that's nice. I think Mike Tomlin, I'm going to miss Mike Tomlin, but we'll see. Last night, the Las Vegas Golden Knights won 5-4. It's going to be interesting. Tonight, the New York Knicks play, and the New York Knicks, but Las Vegas, but that was a high-scoring game, 5-4 for a hockey game. Ellis scored the first goal for Carolina, and Ellis scored the second goal. He had 2 goals, and Shane Theodore had the first goal for Vegas. And then Ivan had the second goal for Vegas, and William Karlsson had the second goal for Vegas. And then Jordan Stahl, who used to play for the Penguins and won the Stanley Cup for the Pittsburgh Penguins, had the third goal for the Carolina Hurricanes. And then Brett Holden had the third goal for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And Shane had the fourth goal for Carolina, and the winning goal was by Thomas Scherschel, 3 minutes and 24 seconds. I thought that game was going to go to overtime. I thought, this game's going to go to overtime. They're not going to score, but lo and behold, 3 minutes and 24 seconds, the Las Vegas Golden Knights scored a fifth goal, and that was the ultimate deciding factor in who won Game 1. The Las Vegas Golden Knights took Game 1 against the Carolina Hurricanes, so I still think it's going to win the series, but I think it'll be a good series. Tonight, we have the starting of the NBA Finals between The San Antonio Spurs and Las Vegas Golden Knights. New York Knicks, excuse me. The San Antonio Spurs and New York Knicks. I know my friend Colin, who likes to cry and block everybody on Instagram because he's a trash talker, but whenever we talk trash to him, he goes in the corner and cries about it. About the Oklahoma City Thunder, who couldn't score more than 4 points when a star player couldn't score more than 4 points in a pivotal Game 7. That's why they lost. And they didn't get all the foul calls like they always want to. The Oklahoma City Thunder always like to see them to get all these foul calls. But whatever. It's going to be interesting to see what I think the Spurs will win in 5 games or 6 games. I say Spurs in 6. I think the Knicks will win a couple games. I know the Knicks haven't lost a game in a few months and have coming off back-to-back sweeps against the Philadelphia 76ers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. But like they said on the night of the sports call on the national media, I think the Eastern Conference is a lot easier this year. And I think going into the playoffs, I think whoever won the West, if it wasn't the Boston Celtics in the final, would probably win the NBA Finals this year, but we'll see. I'm not trying to give out Jalen Brunson or the Knicks any credit, but I think Victor Yamba is too much for them. Victor Yamba outscored the Thunder by like 62 or 65 points when he was in there by all 4 games, or the team helped outscored by 62 points. That's pretty good. Victor Yamba, when it's all said and done, could be the next great NBA player, even maybe better than Tim Duncan. And Tim Duncan was one of the great Spurs players. Victor Yamba is 7'5". You can't teach that, and he's one of the top players right now in the NBA. I really like watching Victor Yamba play for the San Antonio Spurs. I can't wait to see what he does tonight. But like I said, I think the Spurs win tonight, and I think they give the Knicks the first loss in over a month. But it's going to be interesting to see what Jordan Brunson and the company can do for the Knicks. I just hope it's a close game, to be quite honest. I hope it's not a blowout, and whoever wins the game is a close game, and whoever wins is a good game. So I'll be watching some of the games tonight and see who wins. But we all know in NBA, it's the last 5 minutes that count the most. But we'll see who wins. But I think the Spurs are going to win. I think it's going to be a close game, and it might even go to overtime, or it'll be a close game near the end, and it'll be a good game to watch. But I think the Spurs take game 1 in San Antonio. But don't count me out my word or bet with me, because I bet the Carolina Hurricanes last night, and the Carolina Hurricanes lost. But I think Victor Yamba does good tonight. But he needs help from other players too, like Darren Fox and the other players too. Right now the Spurs are minus 4.5. But he needs Castle and he needs Fox to do other good players tonight. And Carl Anthony Towns and Brunson are going to try to stop that, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what the Spurs do. It's also going to be interesting to see if the Knicks have trouble, because the Knicks have been off for a whole week. So was the rest going to bother them since the Knicks have been on a hot streak, or will the Knicks be able to keep on doing good? Because the Spurs came off a pivotal Game 7 Saturday and had less games off, and they're on a hot streak right now too. After winning Game 7 against the defending champions, Oklahoma City Thunder, even though my friend Colin keeps crying about it, but the Oklahoma City Thunder lost Game 7, and the Spurs coming off of Game 7 on Saturday when the Knicks swept the Cleveland Cavaliers with ease the last 2 games and had to come back from a 22-point lead in Game 1 with 7.5 minutes left, but they swept the Knicks of ease the Cavaliers of ease the last few games, but they've already been off. We've been off for almost a week. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I just hope it's a good game. Like I said, the Spurs are going to need more than Victor Yamba's help them tonight. But Victor Yamba is one of the great and upcoming players. It could be one of his next future stars for the NBA. And I like watching that because he's so tall, and he's taller than all these other NBA stars, so it's nice to see. But I think the Spurs win. It's tonight at 8:30 on ABC and the ESPN app, but I'll be watching some of the game. Also tonight, last night the Pittsburgh Pirates won 10-6. I thought the Pirates were going to blow when they put Dennis Santana in the lineup. I don't know why I keep putting Dennis Santana in the lineup. Dennis Santana is one of our worst relief pitchers and sucks to high heavens, and almost blew that 10-5 or 10-4 lead last night. But luckily they took him out and put Gregory Soto in after it was a savable game, because Dennis Santana almost ruined the game. But Soto was able to get the last 2 out and help the Pirates win. The Pirates have won the last of 9-7, won 7 of the last 9 games, and are the number 2 team right now in the NL Central, And they're looking really good. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now after sweeping the Minnesota Twins and splitting this year to the Chicago Cubs. Looking pretty good right now. And they're one of the top offenses this year. But it's really great to see the Pittsburgh Pirates be one of the top offenses this year. when last year they were one of the worst offenses in all of baseball. But now tonight, Paul Skeens pitches tonight. So last night the Pirates can get another win for Paul Skeens, and Skeens can have another good night. But the Pirates are going against one of the tough pitchers for the Houston Astros, but we need to get some hits. And we got a lot of hits last night. Let's hope we can save some of those hits for tonight to get some more runs tonight. Last night, O'Neill Cruz and Brandon Lau both had 3-run home runs, and Andy Rodriguez had a home run. Andy Rodriguez should be an everyday catcher. I know tonight we're going to put in oh crap, I forgot his name. But we're going to put in the other catcher that Paul Skeens likes. It's not Bart, but it's the other guy. But I mean, he's doing pretty good too. But Andy Rodriguez is looking like a lot better catcher right now. So maybe after these games, they need to put Andy Rodriguez in more. I mean, that's going to be a tough decision by manager. But, you know, some pitchers, like the star pitcher, Paul Skeens, really likes the catcher. The other catcher, I can't remember his name right now. It's escaping my brain. But really likes the catcher, so he probably will be playing tonight. But Andy Rodriguez needs to be more playing time. And right now, the other talk about Pittsburgh sports is about our relief pitcher. He's not doing so good. But we'll see. Paul Skeens pitches tonight. He's a 6-5 with 2.9 ERA, and the pitch against Ed Argueta, he's 7-1. But we'll see. No, Henry Davis. That's what I was thinking about. Henry Davis is probably playing tonight since Paul Skeens like Henry Davis. But Henry Davis is okay. Henry Davis has been hitting, but Andy Rodriguez has been hitting. So Andy Rodriguez needs to keep playing more when Paul Skeens isn't pitching, since Henry Davis is Paul Skeens' guy. And maybe Joey Bart needs to see his way out of Pittsburgh. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Also, what's going to happen with Marcell Ozuna right now? Even though he's back early, Ryan O'Hara still can't really throw the ball. So Ryan O'Hara might be playing DH still. And he's a lot better hitting right now. And even Jake Mangum. Jake Mangum's a good outfielder, but when all the outfielders get healthy again, what's going to happen with Mangum PI? Maybe Mangum PI can play in the outfield. So maybe we just have a really high-paid coach, like they were saying last night on a sports call, and a really high-paid bench player, and Marcell Ozuna. But let's see what happens to Marcell Ozuna. I mean, I really hope that Marcell Ozuna can start getting hit. I know it's early, still part of the season, so maybe he can turn around. But I'm just glad we got more players than him, because the Pirates needed that this year, and they got Brandon Lau and Brian O'Hara, but are doing pretty good for the Pirates. They really upgraded their team too, and really got O'Neill Cruz to hit better, and got Brian Reynolds back to Brian Reynolds' stats. Last year, Brian Reynolds wasn't that good, so they finally got Brian Reynolds back. But I think the Pirates win tonight. I think they take game 2. I think Paul Skeens has yet another masterful game tonight, and I think the Pirates take game 2 against the Houston Astros, and the Pirates take game 2. I think the Boston Red Sox beat the Orioles. The Mariners are going to lose to the Mets, looks like, unless the Mets blow it. The Yankees will beat the Indians tonight. The Blue Jays will beat the Braves. The Cubs will beat the Athletics, even though I don't want that. The Pirates will beat the Astros. The Dodgers will beat the Diamondbacks. The Detroit Tigers swept the Tampa Bay Rays and winning 7-1 today. I think the Philadelphia Phillies will beat the Padres. I think the Reds will beat the Royals. I think the Brewers will beat the Giants. The Rangers will beat the Cardinals. The Rockies will beat the Angels. The Marlins won 4-1 against the Nationals today. Good job for the Marlins. And the White Sox won 8-0 today. But that's what I think. And I think the Texas Tech Red Raiders will beat the Texas Rangers tonight in women's softball. But those are my picks for today. Like I said, I think the San Antonio Spurs will win. I think the San Antonio Spurs will win tonight, and I think they'll look good. And I think they'll take game 1. But like I said last night, I called the San Antonio Spurs to lose last night, and they lost. I called for the Carolina Hurricanes to win last night, and they lost. So don't take my picks for granted, or try to bet it maybe. They might lose money, but we'll see. I just hope it's a good game, whoever wins. I'm just glad it's not Oklahoma City Thunder in it, even though my friend Colin's still crying about it. I'm just glad it's not Oklahoma City Thunder in it, because the Oklahoma City Thunder just like to get to the foul line, and it's making basketball boring. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to basketball, and see what happens to Brandon Ayuk. If Brandon Ayuk in football gets any more charges, even though he got a speeding charge from late December by being a dumb-dumb and posting a video of him speeding. I mean, if you're making that much money, you need to take your phone away. Me and my dad always said he should have a babysitter, so the person tell you not to do stuff so they don't get in trouble since somebody stars. But we'll see what happens to that. Also, I'm glad Nick Herbert got on a contract. It's going to be interesting to see who's next and to see how long it takes. Last night I had to do an emergency press conference video because Nick Herbig signed a new contract after I did a video, but we'll see. And Drake London got a new contract, so that's good for him. But thank you for watching every episode of Stache Sports. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I think the Steelers have a good season. It's one of my stashers, Jake. And I think they might have a good playoff run. It's going to be interesting if they stay healthy, but maybe the Jaguars have a good year too. And every team's. I'm just excited football is around the corner, and they're giving us a lot of stuff to talk about right now. It's going to be interesting to see what Caleb Williams does since he's a Madden cover. Will he have a Madden curse? Because some players that are a Madden cover have a Madden curse. If he can do good and doesn't have a Madden curse, that'd be good for the Chicago Bears. But we'll see. That's going to be tough. And it's going to be interesting to see what Drake London does with his new contract. If Drake London can keep doing good with his new contract, that's going to be good. But like I said, I think that Steelers did good by signing Nick Herbig, and I think that's going to be good. Nick Herbig did have a lot of sacks last year, but thank you for watching every episode of Stache Sports.